In the 13th century, during the reign of the Mongols in Azerbaijan, Sheikh Safi ad-Din Sufi, who was from the ancient noble Turkish family of Azerbaijan and had brought together peasants and craftsmen of Ardabil, founded Darvish Order, a religious organization propagating his tariqah. In time, all of the Ardabil population became murids, sworn students of Sheikh, and obeyed all his instructions. Afterwards, Sheikh Junit, 1447 to 1460, Sheikh Haidar, 1460 to 1488, Sheikh Sultan Ali, 1488 to 1494, and Sheikh Ismail, 1494 to 1501, headed Safaviya Tariqah. Qizilbash Turks. Since the middle of the 15th century, Safavids had captured big trophies as a result of successful raids and strengthened their positions in Ardabil. Gradually, leaders of this order became the rulers of Ardabil, and traveling throughout Egypt, Syria, Mesopotamia, Anadolu, increased the number of their supporters at the expense of Shamlu, Rumlu, Ustajlu, Takalu, Afshar, Gajar, Zulgadar, Warsak, Garadaglu, Bayat, Karamanlu, Baharlu, Alpaut, Arashli, Gazakhli, and other Turkic tribes living there. The rise of Ardabil began after the coming of Sheikh Haidar to power. He married the daughter of Akkoanlu ruler Uzun Hasan, Alamshah Khatun, and strengthened relations with Akkoanlu. In his time, members of Turkic tribes supporting Safavids wore headgear with 12 scarlet stripes in honor of imams. That's why they were called Qizilbash, redhead. Therefore, these Turkic tribes, supporters of Safaviya order, were mostly named Qizilbash. The failure of Karakoğunlu and Akkoğunlu to preserve stability and struggles for power had negatively affected the socio-economic situation. The life of people got complicated. At the end of the 15th century, the weakening of the central authority created favorable conditions for the rise of the Safavids' influence among the common people. The main purpose of the young Ismail, acting upon the advice of Qizilbash emirs, was gaining political power in Azerbaijan. At first, Ismail failed to strengthen in Ardabil and headed to eastern Anatolia, Erzincan. Along his way, the number of people who joined Qizilbash troops was increasing. In 1500, Qizilbash held a meeting in Erzincan. It was decided to strike the first blow to Farrukh Yasar Shirvanshah. And Qizilbash troops, led by Ismail, went to battle with Shirvanshah troops on Jabani Plain. Although Qizilbash troops were outnumbered, they defeated Shirvanshah troops and killed Farrukh Yasar. Subsequently, in the spring of 1501, after fierce resistance, Baku Castle was conquered. Ismail's accomplishments disturbed Alvand Mirza, Akkoğunlu. In the middle of 1501, in the battle that took place on Şarur Plain, Qizilbash defeated Akkoğunlu troops, who exceeded their number. The root cause of the Qizilbash victory was the willingness of murids to sacrifice themselves for their sheikh, their spiritual strength and fortitude. Young Ismail, taking part in all of these battles, became the source of inspiration for Qizilbash. Shortly after the Battle of Şarur that ended with the fall of the first wing of Akkoğunlu, Ismail entered Tabriz and declared himself Shah. Thus, a new Azerbaijani state, Safavid state, was founded with the capital in Tabriz. It was the start of the long-lasting reign of Qizilbash in Azerbaijani land. Shah Ismail and his Qizilbash warriors weren't satisfied with the conquered lands and began a struggle for new territories. At these times, Akkoğunlu Murad Padishah remained a threat to the Safavid state. In 1503, in the battle near Hamadan city, the Akkoinlu army was defeated despite numerical superiority. Thus, the second wing of Akkoinlu state came to an end. For the most part, historical Azerbaijani lands were united around the central power. After that, Shah Ismail subdued all of Iran except Khorasan. Victorious campaigns of Qizilbash continued. Iraq, as well as Baghdad city, Diyarbakir, Hilat, Bitlis joined the Safavid state. The Safavid state bordered the Ottoman Empire on the west and Shaybani state on the east. Ottoman Sultan Bayezid II recognized the Safavid state. Although relations between these two countries were normal, relations with Shaybani state continued to be strained. Shah Ismail raided Shaybani state and conquered Herat, Merv, and Khorasan. Now, the Safavid state covered a vast area, from the Amu Darya on the east to the Euphrates on the west, and there appeared the Safavid Empire. As we mentioned earlier, the Safavid army consisted of irregular troops of Qizilbash tribes. Sometimes leaders of these tribes didn't subordinate to a single commander and acted independently. Lack of discipline and conflicts between tribes weakened the fighting capability of the Safavid army. That led to the defeat of the Safavid state during the Ottoman and Safavid War and resulted in the occupation of a big territory. Shah Abbas I, who ascended to the throne in this difficult time, concluded a peace treaty with the Ottomans and carried out reforms with the purpose to return lost territories and restore power of the state. In the beginning of the 17th century, rebellions and political situations in the Ottoman Empire allowed Shah Abbas I to launch a war with the Ottomans. Military operations, which started in 1603, were successful for the Safavid state. Eventually, in 1612, a Sarab, Second Istanbul, peace treaty was concluded between these two countries. According to the treaty, the terms of the Amasya Peace Treaty, dated 1555, were restored, and all conquered territories were returned to the Safavid state. Although the Safavid state regained its power, by the end of the 17th century, economic crisis weakened the state. As a result, in the 20s and 30s of the 18th century, most parts of the Safavid territory were occupied by the Afghans, Ottomans, and Russians. Tahmasib II had to be content only with the southern Khazar regions and part of Khorasan. Under these circumstances, internal forces had to be united against the enemy. Nader, who began to serve with Tahmasib II in 1726, took this responsibility. Soon, Nader Khan Afshar managed to unite several provinces under the power of the Safavid Shah and expel Afghans from the country. As a result of the struggle, carried out till the end of 1735, the Ottoman and Russian troops were completely withdrawn from the southern Caucasus, including Azerbaijan. Thus, under the leadership of Nader Khan, the original borders of the Safavid state were, so to say, restored. Taking advantage of these successes and his growing authority among people, in 1736, Nader Khan assembled Qizilbash tribes at the conjunction of the Kur and Araz rivers in the Mughal plain and declared himself Shah. Thus, the Safavid state collapsed. However, the dominance of the Qizilbash tribes continued. After the fall of the Afshar Empire, 1736 to 1747, which existed for only 11 years, the Qizilbash tribes in Azerbaijan and Iran tried to protect their power for a long time by creating separate states, khanliks. After the death of Nader Shah, the great commanders of Afsharid states, Ali Kulu Khan Afshar, Amiswarslan Khan Afshar, Mir Mehdi Khan Afshar, and other commanders waged a bitter struggle to keep the integrity of Afsharid state. But at the beginning of the 19th century, as a result of the aggressive policy of Tsarist Russia, the dominance of Qizilbash in northern Azerbaijan came to an end. In southern Azerbaijan and Iran, Qajars from the Kizilbash tribes managed to seize power and to form a single state. The Qajars' power on these territories lasted until 1925. In a military coup in 1925, in Iran and southern Azerbaijan, the Qajars dynasty was replaced by the Pahlavi dynasty of Persian origin. Although Kizilbash lost their statehood, their concept is not forgotten. Today, the Kizilbash concept still exists in Azerbaijan, Turkey, Canada, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bulgaria, and Iranian Azerbaijan.